Hey folks, it's Samantha once again. Welcome back to another review, and this is of the John Woo film Broken Arrow. Unfortunately, this DVD has nothing except a trailer, even though it was a decent sized hit. It came out in February, which is a hard time for action movies to come out in, but it still made about $70 million, so it was not a flop. But yet, 20th Century Fuckface still does nothing for this. Face Off has like a 2-disc DVD, but this has nothing. And honestly, this is, I think, an incredibly underrated action movie. It's my second favorite John Woo film behind Hard Target. And these were the two John Woo films I saw that got me into John Woo. It was after this that I saw films like Hard Boiled, The Killer, and so forth. Now, I would say Hard Boiled is number 3 in my favorite John Woo films, but Hard Target, number 1, this is number 2. They're the first two I saw, and they, I guess in the best way, they speak to me. They're my kind of movies. High octane, kick-ass action flicks. This has great special effects, has wonderful stunt work, has great back and forth between its bad guy, played by John Travolta, who's having a shitload of fun, and Christian Slater, who I thought he pulled off the action hero role well. I liked another film he did after this called Hard Rain. I would say between the two I like this more, but I liked Hard Rain. And actually the writer behind this, Graham Yost, worked on the movie Speed. And actually I think would go on to work on Hard Rain as well. WCBS-TV says it best, a breathless, non-stop joyride. That's a great way to put it. Has a fantastic score by Hans Zimmer, without doubt one of my favorite scores of all time. I think one of the best action movie scores of all time, and I can say that with a straight face. Hans Zimmer's score is epic, and it's a joy to listen to. My favorite score from the composer Hans Zimmer. John Travolta is relishing a role as Deacon, a bad guy. He's one of 2 military pilots, the other Christian Slater. They're flying, I should say, this stealth bomber, and John Travolta hijacks it. One thing leads to another. Christian Slater gets ejected, and so that John Travolta, along with this group of people, including Howie Long, steal these nuclear warheads for ransom. And Christian Slater has to join up with a park ranger played by Samantha Mathis, who, yes, was Princess Daisy in the live-action Super Mario Bros. Movie. And they go after John Travolta in his game, and you have great practical explosions, some really good model work, some fun bits of dialogue, great action set pieces, wonderfully directed by John Woo. The guy knows how to direct action in R-rated glory and fashion. Has a fantastic fight at the end with a beautiful piece of music from Hans Zimmer. I believe it's called Hammerhead. And just one of my favorite fights in movies, actually, because of the pacing, the choreography. It's not confusing. It's not insulting to your eye sockets. It's not cut in a schizophrenic way. And it has a great pace to the fight. It has a wonderful comeback where Christian Slater gets to kick John Travolta's ass. And I don't mind. I like Face Off okay, but that one gets all the pass and the praise and from the critics, the general audience, IMDb, box office, while this gets the shaft. And I really disagree with that. I don't understand why Face Off. Again, I like Face Off okay. I don't hate the film. But I looked at that film, I'm like, if I want to see John Travolta in a John Woo film, I just prefer this. And to be honest, I don't mind Nicolas Cage, but I like Christian Slater better. Much better. And Christian Slater, I grew up with, I love Gleam in the Cube, skateboarder flick, which I reviewed on here. Cuffs, that's a fun movie. Like I said, I mentioned I enjoyed Hard Rain, so I liked Christian Slater as an actor. And John Travolta, I mean, he had done Pulp Fiction, so he's getting on his comeback trail. And I'm sure he found out about John Woo from Quentin Tarantino, and decided to work with him after John Woo did Hard Target. And John Woo did an excellent job directing this from the first frame, where you have these two sparring in a boxing ring, and the camera is on top, really far away, and it pushes in. And it does cutting and editing the right way, where it cuts to the music, it's going down to the boxing ring, and then it cuts to one hitting the other, so it makes the impact, it makes the contact more impactful. And it really shows a great bond between the good guy and the bad guy, and in sort of an epic fashion, that they had a history together. When Richard Slater loses and gives him the money, Travolta gives it back and goes, "If you didn't give me everything you got, then I don't want it." And Richard Slater's like, "No, actually, it really is yours. See, I took it out of your wallet when you were in the shower." Over $20, and that's a motif that goes out throughout the film. This bet that they have over $20. I like that. "No, it's yours." "No, I don't want it. If you didn't give everything you got, then I don't want it." "No, I mean, I'm telling the truth. It really is yours. I took it out of your wallet." I know I'm repeating myself, but those are some good lines of dialogue. And like I said, they're military pilots. Richard Slater talking about the John Travolta, how you love the power of God under your fingertips. And pretty much John Travolta, of course, we already know going into the film, he's a bad guy. Tries to shoot Richard Slater. They have a little bit of fight as much as they can in the cockpit of their plane. And like I said, Slater gets ejected. When the stealth bomber explodes, wonderful model work. See, this shows that model work, in my opinion, should still be used, because it looks more real, because it is real. You can't do more real than real. If it was a CGI stealth bomber, it would not look better, because there'd be that artificialness to it. There's a physicality even to a model, and I think it looks fantastic. It looks great. Of course, this had a good budget behind it, so that works to its favor as well. So you have a great model shot of the stealth plane blowing up, and in the background you have a couple other good actors. Delroy Lindo, who helps out Richard Slater a little bit in the finale of the film, and one of the advisors, Frank Whaley. If you look him up, he's a very capable character actor. I was kind of surprised how limited they used him in the film, because it seemed he has that line in the trailer where someone says, "We have a broken arrow," and Frank Whaley's like, "What?" They explain, and Frank Whaley says, "Well, I don't know what's scarier, that we've lost it, or that it's happened so often there's actually a term for it." The guy who says it in the trailer is Frank Whaley. When you first see the film, you kind of think he's going to have a bigger part of the movie, but it's not his movie. Like, maybe he'd be like John Cusack and Con Air. But honestly, it worked out fine, because it is between these two guys, as it should. John Cusack works for Con Air. Frank Whaley, I think he fits fine. But I'm just mentioning that because some people might mention that. But also in the background you have Kurtwood Smith, who's in the original RoboCop, among other films. I like a funny line he says, where Frank Whaley says, "Maybe we should tell the truth," and Kurtwood Smith, "The truth? Well, then I don't know how you get this job." How do you get this job? But pretty much when Richard Slater wakes up, he digs a $20 bill and puts on a rock and goes, "Well, you won that round, Deacon," which is John Travolta's character's name. And that's where he meets the park ranger Samantha Mathis, and they have a little struggle. And John Woo, people may say it's over the top. To me, it's epic. I love the way he directs, well, when he used to direct these kind of films. Gives each moment that grandeur, that even if it's a little little tussle, it's like Richard Slater gets a gun and then she pulls out a knife, and they have a little standoff where they both have one against the other's neck. Or in the cockpit when Travolta and Richard Slater are gauging at each other, that the camera pans over to reveal Nicolas Cage, and then it goes to Richard Slater. Did I say Cage? Fuck, I got Face Off on the brain. passes off to reveal John Travolta. Then goes over and reveals Christian Slater's face in the cockpit. And the music fits the film perfectly. And it really is such a fantastic score by Hans Zimmer. Even to the point some of the music was used later in Scream films. Like when Dewey, David Arquette's character, shows up in Scream 2, that music is from this film. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Dun dun dun. Ba dun dun dun. Da dun. Da dun dun. And just so many wonderful pieces of music. Down 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 down. Down 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 down. I'm doing a shitty job of it. And I'll get to my favorite piece when I get to the end of the film, but the entire score works. There's not one piece of the score I think falls on its face. It's great to listen to on its own. It fits the film like a glove. I'll say it is I think it's one of the best action scores, and one of the most underappreciated action scores because no one ever mentions it. And how Howie Long gets into it is that he's part of the team that's trying to find one of the nuclear bombs, and then you find out he's actually a turncoat as well and kills another member of the team. And he's actually working with John Travolta. And this film has a good sense of humor to it as well, especially with John Travolta's character. Like when Howie Long has to call in and fake like the nuclear warhead has spilled out. And Howie Long's like, oh man, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's broke. The rest of the team is dead. And John Travolta has an electric razor, and he's mimicking the sound so that there's static with the razor. Or you have this other guy who's with them, who's like the money guy, Bob Gunton. He's the evil warden in The Shawshank Redemption, and he was in Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, and Lou Diamond Phillips' film called Bats. He asks a question, like, what if they don't pay? And Travolta says something to the effect of, well, if they don't pay, then the Southwest would be a quiet neighborhood for about 10,000 years. I mean, as I get throughout the film, John Travolta is having so much fun. He's a bad guy you love to hate, and he's fun to watch. And I think Christian Slater still holds his own as well. And they just have a good back and forth. I mean, someone once told me you need a good guy and a good bad guy. This film fits the bill, hook, line, and sinker on it. And when the action scenes happen, they're really well done. Christian Slater, Samantha Mathis get attacked by this chopper, and their truck gets blown up, and they have to jump off a piece of this cliff, and then this shows that the stunt work is very dangerous and all practical and real. For example, Christian Slater's character is right on the ground shooting, and you see the helicopter just like go right over him, all in the same shot. Not with CGI or fancy editing. That was all done for real, and seemed like a lot of dangerous stunts in this, which are really give points to the stuntman and the actors, because looks like Christian Slater and such were doing a lot of it, especially upon which we'll get to later. But Samantha Mathis decides to distract the chopper, and Slater is actually able to aim and shoot the pilot. Practical blood squibs. Remember a day when you used to have practical blood squibs and not CGI blood? This is back in those days, which I miss. And what happens, he's able to shoot the pilot, and the helicopter goes haywire, and actually takes a nosedive and smashes into the ground. And I don't know how the hell they did this shot, because it looks great, where the nosedive of the helicopter slams to the ground, and Samantha Mathis is in the same shot, and she's barely getting away and jumps out of the way. I'm like, it looks great. I don't know if it's done with model work. I don't know if it's how it was done. There's just no fucking features. But it looked great. And then the tail motor's coming up and almost hitting her, and Slater gets her out of the way. Very well done action scene. And pretty much the two get to Now that Travolta and his gang have to move the bombs, not on the helicopter anymore, but on the Humvees, Slater and Mathis get on another Humvee, and once again, well done stunt sequences. You have Christian Slater's character rolling out away while the bad guy's shooting the roof of this Humvee and rolls on the back of the Humvee, falls down, has to run, then jump on the Humvee as Travolta's Humvee almost hits his ass, like this close. And then Christian Slater actually shoots the guy's foot and pushes him out, and Travolta's and his vehicle don't care. They just run their own guy over. And then Christian Slater gets this gas can and a flare, throws it, shoots it, and burns the whole fucking windshield of the Humvee. All done for real, all done practically. And it looks great. It gives much more of that physicality, impact, and jolt of adrenaline rush of this movie. That's what this movie is. It's an adrenaline rush. That's what I'm so excited talking about, because it's such a very underrated film. No one ever talks about Broken Arrow. I did like 3-4 years ago, and then my friend Mike did, I think, 2 reviews. One like 3-4 years ago, and then one maybe a year or 2 ago. I'm like, hey, my friend Mike did 2, I should do another one as well. Because this deserves to be talked about more. This deserves a lot more. I don't know if this fucking film's on Blu-ray. And if it is, it probably doesn't have jack shit. Which is fucking stupid. It's fucking bullshit. I like Face Off okay, but I think this film kissed the shit out of Face Off. It's much better paced. It's an hour and 48 minutes tops with the end credits. I think these two work better together. Cage is okay, but kind of, yeah. And I think this, Pat Collins says it best as well, a sensational supersonic hit. And John Travolta is having such a ball. Like when Christian Slater first pops up, and he's like, Slater's character's name is Hale, and John Travolta goes, Hale, well, goddamn. And later on, when this, well, I'll get to that. I'm jumping ahead too many times. The fun line where he goes, would you mind not shooting at the thermonuclear weapons? And of course, people take the movie so seriously, like, hey, you know that wouldn't really happen, as in, it wouldn't really blow up if you shot it. I know, because they explain it in the fucking movie, because Kurtwood Smith mentions when the stealth bomber crashed, how come it didn't blow up, and the general explains to them what these people are bitching about. First off, it's meant to be a funny line, which I thought was funny, and second off, okay, here's a thermonuclear weapon. Would you still shoot at it? Would you still take a gun and shoot it, even though someone told you, hey, that's not going to blow up even if you do shoot it. Here, shoot it. I still wouldn't shoot it. Because I'm not a fucking dumbass. But, anyway, one at least to know that they get into this cave system, and Slater and Samantha Mathis are trying to get these bombs out of there, and he's like, okay, let me disarm them, but Travolta tricked them. He had a backup plan, and so when Christian Slater is disarming it, Travolta tricked his ass and made him arm it. So they have to get the bomb deep, deep down into the mine. And that's where you get a very fun shootout. Christian Slater with 2 guns, you know, saving Mathis, doing a dive. Great John Woo style, while this fantastic Hans Zimmer score is playing in the background. Has a great shootout with Travolta. And John Woo at this time knew how to shoot that kind of shit. How to frame the actors, how to make the environment so that you're not confused where you're at. It's not schizophrenic editing. He's moving the camera, but not so much that it's confusing or herky-jerky or gives you a headache. You wish directors would do more of this stuff. You really do. Or at least I really do. And then one of Travolta's guys gets shot, and the guy has a grenade, and Chris Slater, he's able to grab the grenade and throw it right at Travolta, who gets out of the way. Boom! And not only the action, but just the words, the dialogue between these two. Where Slater's like, you're fucked in the head, Deke. And Travolta shoots at him, and Chris just goes, yeah, I pissed him off. And while Slater Mathis escape into this nearby lake, Travolta, Howie Long, and the Bob Gunton character are driving, and Bob Gunton's been bitching this whole time. And once again, John Travolta having fun, just takes a thing, hits it right on Bob Gunton's right here, and kills him. And Travolta goes like, hush, hush, which is meant to be fun. And later on he looks at him and says, I just realized I've never actually killed anyone before. I mean, I dropped bombs at Baghdad, but never face to face. I don't know what the big deal is. I really don't. And then as one of our good guy choppers coming in, Travolta tells Howie Long not to shoot. And that's because the explosion, which makes this big cave-in nearby in the ground, fucks up the chopper by EMP. And I love Travolta where he goes, I said, God damn, what a rush. He's having so much fun. And I'm having so much fun watching Travolta have so much fun. It really is nice to see. And that's why I don't get about Face Off. People act as if Travolta never did that. I'm like, he did it in this, and in my opinion, did a better job. In a film that was much better paced and moved at a better speed and has a fantastic score. Wonderful action scenes, especially in the finale. And great back and forth between the two. To me, everything works about the film. I don't have any problems with the flick. I really don't. I would say this is one of the most underrated action films of the 90s. If I made a list of the most underrated action films in the 90s, this would be on there. A 6.0 on IMDb, it should be much higher. It should be higher than Face Off, in my opinion. I don't really get why Face Off gets a higher rating than this. I don't understand it. Siskel and Ebert. I know this has the distinction of one of them gave it a thumbs up, then they listened to the other guy, and then they changed it to a thumbs down. And I'm like, with all due respect to Ebert and Siskel and Ebert, you gave Speed 2 Cruise Control 2 thumbs up. Why did Speed 2, or even Face Off, I mean, Face Off I liked okay, but why do they get thumbs up and this gets 2 thumbs down? I don't understand that. I really don't. I never will. It is what it is. But pretty much, Delroy Lindo, who is a good actor, Christian Slater is able to get in, and by this time, him and Mathis have separated. And she's gone onto the train where Travolta and his gang are at with the other bomb that they have. Christian Slater gets to Delroy Lindo. I like a lot of a dialogue Lindo has where he talks about, about rules, about regulations. And Slater's like, yeah, good, because I'm about to break them. And unfortunately, later on, Delroy Lindo dies. But I mean, hey, at least he did do a good thing. Able to shoot a bad guy or two as well. I'll get to that. The finale. The reason I'm jumping ahead is the finale on the train is a fantastic finale. I like the boat chase on Face Off, but if I had to pick, I think this finale is much more epic. I mean, the boat chase is good, but there's much more to it. I mean, you have the sequence where first off, Christian Slater is able to figure out that everyone is being tricked by John Travolta thinking he's going one way, but Christian Slater knows that, no, in fact, Travolta wants you to think that he's actually going the other way on a train to Denver. Let's head over there. And while that's happening, Samantha Mathis is caught by Travolta. Travolta is trying to get her to arm this bomb, And she's like, no, I'm not going to do it. If I'm going to die anyway. He's about ready to kill her, but then there's Christian Slater on a helicopter with a gun aimed at him. And he did an exciting finale. You did Christian Slater jumping onto the train, getting into Samantha Mathis. You did Delroy Lindo shooting the bad guy. He says the line, come on, let's give him some haircuts. Let's give him a new haircut. Uses the propeller and actually hits one guy with this big, huge blood splat, and the guy flies off the train. You have stuff like Christian Slater having to drop a gun, but Samantha Mathis has a gun behind her back, so Slater's able to, while Samantha Mathis is like this, Slater falls to the ground, grabs her gun, is between her legs, and shoots the bad guy. Christian Slater's able to fuck up the helicopter on the train that Travolta and his team are going to use to leave, so that when one of Travolta's men tries to start the helicopter, Travolta sees the gas line's been ripped. Hey, wait! It blows up, a practical, real helicopter blown up on this train, all done for real, no CGI, no green screen, no fakery of that nature, and a fucking real guy on fire flying off the train. I mean, you don't see that nowadays. I mean, yeah, Mad Max Fury Road. But maybe that's why I thought I liked Mad Max Fury Road okay, other than the fucking lead guy. But I'm like, I grew up with these movies where you would see stuff. I see you got real people, and another point where Christian Slater is fighting a guy and slams his head down, fighting him. He's fallen off the train and grabs on the bottom, and he's being dragged along the bottom of the train, and most of it looks like it's Christian Slater doing it himself. It seems very dangerous, and the way the camera, it really does look like Christian Slater doing a lot of it by himself under a real train, which that's pretty dangerous stuff, so really good work from Slater. I mean, that does take some guts to do, so I commend him for that as well. And apparently Christian Slater said no to Assassins for Stallone to do this, and also that he was going to quit smoking or get in shape for this. And I think it worked well. And I would love to, I don't know what these guys think about the movie, but we'll never know because no one's going to fucking ask them. But you have a lot of stuff going on in this, and Howie Long and John Travolta shooting at Delroy Lindo. He gets shot up, and his plane crashes into the mountains. And Christian Slater, you have a great scene where he hooks something up. He's able to swing down into an opening of the train car, hit Howie Long, who flies back, and a great stunt. Probably one of those, what you call it, descender rigs. I don't know how I'm guessing that's how they did it. But very well done. Wonderful, scary stunt, and just well shot, well edited, not confusing. And once again, a fantastic score behind it. And then it gets to Christian Slater has a shotgun, shooting a Travolta with a shotgun, even doing like a little classic John Woo turn with the shotgun. And then it ends how it began. It began with a fist fight between them and a sparring. Now it's a fight for real, where Travolta goes, hey, I got this remote. And I bet $20 that you won't get it from me. And Slater's like, you're out of your mind. And Travolta's like, yeah, ain't it cool? And Slater goes, no, I mean it, dude. You really off the deep end. I forget the actual dialogue. But I do remember Travolta saying, yeah, maybe. But I'm still going to kick your ass. At Travolta's, Slater's doing a couple kicks and punches in there, but Travolta's on the attack. And then Slater finally gets the comeback, has a crowbar, drops it, and this is where you get that epic piece of music from Hans Zimmer. You know, da-da-da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. And Slater's just pummeling. This is how you do a comeback. Expendables 3 should have learned from this movie, not only on action, stunts, effects, characters, dialogue, score, but how you do an end fight, where you have the hero getting beat up, and then this is how you do a comeback. And Christian Slater's like, with the music, like, da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. Like, I can't do it all, but I found the clip on YouTube. I'm going to put it down below. One of the movie clips, those guys. It's not the full fight, but the tail end of the fight, which is the most epic part. But just the Christian Slater combat, fantastic fight. A fight no one talks about, so I would say one of the more underrated fights, and one of my personal favorites. The score kicked ass, the pacing of the fight, and the way it was shot. And Christian Slater could move really fast, the smooth moves, you know, going from a punch to a back punch, uppercut, blocking him and going in the elbow. I mean, just love that stuff. Great stuff. Beats the shit out of him, kicks him, grabs the remote. By this time, it's going to collide with something, the train. Samantha Mathis gets off the train. Christian Slater jumps, hits the remote so that the bomb's disarmed. And it just flies off, impales John Travolta as he flies off, and the barrels in the train explode as the train collides. And then Christian Slater and Samantha Mathis ends on not the typical kiss, but I like this. There's a nice twist to it, where first he finds a burned up $20 bill and goes, I win. I win. I won. So it's a nice motif that this carries throughout it. It's not just forgotten. That's good writing. It's not just a motif that's brought up and never brought up again. It carries throughout, and I like that. And then Samantha Mathis, you would think it'd be the typical kiss. No, they shake hands. And it ends with that, and ends with that epic score as it shows Broken Arrow. And I'm like, man, I'm ready to watch this again. Down, 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 bow, down, 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 down. Da, 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 da. I think this is a great movie. Once again, I have no problems with the flick. It was a good-sized hit. Again, it made $70-some million. Obviously, the year after, 97, someone got him to do Face Off with Travolta again. So they must not have been too mad about this. The performance. I don't think it was the same studio, but still. But no, 20th Century Fuckface ain't going to do anything with this. Again, criminally underrated movie. Travolta, great, fun, bad guy, wonderful lines of dialogue. Christian Slater, he upped his game, and I think held his own as the good guy, action guy. And this was a time where they were trying to get more regular guys, like Keanu Reeves. As opposed to, I mean, say like Sylvester Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Van Damme. Then they're going for the Keanu Reeves and Christian Slater. And I think they worked well. Yeah, I like Christian Slater as an actor. Now, I've already talked enough about the Hans Zimmer score, but it is one of my personal favorite scores of all time. It really is. I think it's one of the best action scores ever. And the supporting cast, Samantha Mathis, she did fine as the park ranger. She held her own. She wasn't just a damsel in distress. She was doing stuff for her own. She did fine acting-wise. Also, Delroy Lindo, Frank Whaley, Bob Gunton, Howie Long, Kurtwood Smith. The writing by Graham Yost, I think he did fine. Just like I loved his work in Speed. And also Hard Rain. I probably put Speed a little bit above this, but just a little bit. I mean, that's how much I love Broken Arrow. Speed is a classic, but I think this is a classic as well. But Speed's now underrated. People talk about Speed. Maybe not nowadays, but people, when you think of Speed, you think of classic. This deserves that. It deserves as much of being a classic as a lot of the 90s action films. But yeah, Broken Arrow, I don't know what more I can say about it other than that. I was prepared to go ballistic, as the tagline said. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. Awesome, kick-ass action movie. Broken Arrow. By the way, thanks for watching. Take care. And we will see you later. Bye-bye.